In the third stanza of Psalm 139, that is, verses 13 through 18, the psalmist explores yet another infinite aspect of our Creator, His boundless creative ability. There he writes, "For you formed my inward parts. You covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance, being yet unformed, and in your book they all were written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they would be more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with you." Thinking back on his own conception with divine inspiration, the psalmist expresses his confidence in God's unlimited creative ability. There is some confusion regarding the Hebrew word translated covered in the New King James Version. While the English word cover in some form is certainly the most popular translation of this word throughout Scriptures, another more contextually accurate translation might be knit or wove. For example, the New International Version translates the verse like this: "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." We don't even need to consult another translation to make this point. In fact, if you turn in your New King James Version to Job chapter 10, verses 9 through 11, you'll find that it translates this same Hebrew word in a similar context as knit. It says, "Remember, I pray, that you have made me like clay, and will you turn me into dust again? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh and knit me together with bones and sinews?" When we consider this more accurate translation, especially with a modern understanding of conception, we see more clearly the psalmist's vision of God personally knitting him together, cell by cell, in his mother's womb. Now, I don't believe childbirth to be an example of a modern-day miracle. Oxford Dictionary, after all, defines miracle as a surprising and welcome event that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws. Conception and childbirth, on the other hand, while beautiful, are very normal and natural processes. That being said, make no mistake, God is active and exercising His infinite creative ability during childbirth. Throughout every stage of the natural process of conception, God is forming and weaving that child. He's considering that child and planning for that child. The psalmist recognized that even while he was still being formed in the womb, and in a state that many worldly people would not even consider human, God placed value on him. When expressing his confidence in God's boundless creative ability, the psalmist doesn't need to refer to great miracles and supernatural feats. Our God is so incredibly powerful that His influence can be seen and observed within the natural world and within the laws of science. This sentiment echoes throughout the rest of the Bible as well. Just read Job chapter 12, verses 7 through 10, for example. "But now ask the beasts, and they will teach you, and the birds of the air, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, and the fish of the sea will explain to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this, in whose hand is the life of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind?" Nature is screaming at us, teaching us of God's unlimited power and creativity. So are the heavens. Listen to Isaiah chapter 40, verse 26. It says, "Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these things, who brings out their host by number He calls them all by name, by the greatness of His might and the strength of His power. Not one is missing. It should be so powerful to us that even among the most beautiful and awe-inspiring feats of creation like nature and space, the psalmist chooses conception and childbirth to express his confidence in the unlimited creative ability of God. Nowhere else in creation is there such a clear example of divine planning and creativity. Nowhere else is God's influence so observable and raw. David finishes this third stanza saying, "How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they would be more in number than the sand. When I awake, I'm still with you." Isn't it so amazing that God, in all His infinite power, has thoughts for us? In Psalm 8, another psalm of David, it's written, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? Who are we that God is mindful of us?" In the next video, we'll be taking a look at the fourth and final stanza of Psalm 139. It's all about God's boundless righteousness. Until then, feel free to contact the Whispering Pines congregation for any questions or prayer requests you might have. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.